keep writing if you're writing. I want to read this psalm out loud and get us to a time of prayer. In 2018, when I lost my father, I called a counselor because that seemed like the next right thing to do. And I sat down with my counselor, Rob. I love that his name's Rob. He's an older pastor. He's like very experienced. We sat down and he just let me talk for 45 minutes, which is really great. And I'll never forget what he said back to me in that conversation before we opened Psalm 139. He said, "Did you hear how you talked about yourself today?" And I was like, "No." "You hate yourself, don't you?" And he was right. When I woke up in the mirror back then and I looked at what God had created, I didn't love what I saw, but I didn't know why. And we started walking through Psalm 139 to help reset my identity on what he says about us. "Oh Lord, you've examined my heart and you know everything about me. You know when I sit down and when I stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I'm going to say even before I say it. You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to the heaven, you're there. If I go to the grave, you are there. If I ride to the wings of the morning, if I dwell by the farthest oceans, even by your hand, even there your hand will guide me and your strength will support me. I could ask the darkness to hide me and the light around me to become the night, but even in the darkness, I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as the day, and darkness and the light are the same to you. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body. You knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous, how well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion, as I was woven together in the dark of the womb. You saw me before I was born. Every day of my life, I was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out. How precious are your thoughts about me. They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand. And when I wake up, you are still with me. Oh Lord, if only you would destroy the wicked. Get out of my life, you murderers. They blaspheme you. Your enemies misuse your name. Oh Lord, shouldn't I hate those who hate you? Shouldn't I despise those who oppose you? Yes, I hate them with total hatred, for your enemies are my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart, and test me to know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me along the path of everlasting life. I used to get frustrated because we would process this scripture over and over and over again. And suddenly I realized that there is something happening in this story that I didn't really understand. You see, for the longest time when I would talk about this scripture, I would stop right before verse 19 where it starts to get a little ugly and the word hate gets used. And I would say, oh, the good parts are just about those beginning sections. And that's till I realized that this is a story arc where I start at the top of that circle. And every question that I ask takes me down into the valley of despair. Notice that the middle point, really, he says, even in the darkness, you are there. To you, it's as bright as the day. See, with every question, we get more and more vulnerable and we get more and more exposed till we are at our lowest point where we know he's there, but we don't know who we are. And it's at our lowest point where he reinforces who we are. I made you wonderfully complex. I think about you with precious thoughts. I knew you in your mother's womb. But then something really incredible happens as we climb back into reality, rooted in our identity in him. We start to find these emotions that are very real. Things we don't like, things that frustrate us, the reality of our world and our atmosphere and our environments everywhere. And so now we're going back into reality, and it's only then, rooted in our identity, that we get to the top where we can ask the most dangerous question in the entire psalm. Search me, O Lord. See if anything in me offends you. It might be that the most offensive thing that we can do is talk about us the way that I was talking about myself. But now we're ready to ask that question because we're rooted in Him. We're rooted in Him. Today, I want to pray, and I want to ask Him to root your identity in Him.